Well, everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review The Visitor. And this is a new film coming from Blumhouse and director Justin P. Lang. And this focuses on, after a series of tragedy, Robert moves with his wife back to her childhood home. After he discovers an old portrait of a man who looks like him, he goes on a journey that leads him to some dark revelations. And this film from Lang is in the same ballpark as the previous ones that I've seen that he's done, which is leaving a lot to be desired, because this is continuing a horrible track record for Blumhouse recently as another dud horror thriller. First off, there's a couple of jump scares that feel cheap and unearned, and then the rest of it's just like, it's not scary, and unfortunately it's not thrilling either. It just keeps trying to build up a repetitive story over, like, hey, let's see a portrait of this person who looks like me, and then somebody makes a comment about it. Move on to the next place a couple minutes later, find another portrait that looks like me, somebody else makes some comments about it. And this falls into some pretty, like, on the nose kinds of some kinds of on the nose tropes of horror movies. Like, you have one black woman in this whole film who's like screams to the guy, "Get out," and then, of course, spoiler alert, she gets murdered first. And it's just like, well, I didn't think this movie was going to go that deep into some stereotypical tropes from horror films, but, you know, it did. And right at the center here, Finn Jones is really flat, and, like, I don't like him in this film, and I don't particularly find him very interesting in most of the roles that I've seen him do. And in this particular film, his characters feel very flat and, like, kind of ridiculous at times. Like, one of the first scenes you see him in, he's getting, like, so super drunk, he completely passes out, and, like, his drunk acting is so overdone. It's just, like, not great. And where this story goes, there's so much exposition, there's so much clunky dialogue trying to get you to this place where it has a potentially interesting concept and idea, but it just goes in the safest routes you could possibly go, in the most predictable routes, and even the things that wind up being shocking are just like, well, we went there, let's just shock the audience for the sake of shocking the audience. And that is not a fun time. And it's just like, I don't care about any of these characters. This concept is being so drawn out and overdone. Like, this felt like it could have been a short film, to be perfectly honest. And it feels stretched out in an hour and 26 minutes. And, you know, the symbolism, like, they draw literally a book of a copy of Paradise Lost drops from, like, a rafter or something in the house, and you're looking at it right at the beginning of the film. You're like, I wonder if that's gonna come back. And it's so on the nose in terms of how it plays out all of its themes and ideas. This film is pretty disappointing, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend checking it out. But those are my thoughts on The Visitor. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.